All right, guys, I know it's crazy, but we are 3 weeks away today from Giving Tuesday. And so what we have planned for you today, this is our final webinar before the big day. We're going to talk a little bit and just sort of recap about where you should be up to this point. As we go through, don't panic. If you haven't done something, there's still time, and we actually do have a resource for those procrastinators out there. I'm one of those sometimes. So you should be able to catch up fairly quickly if you haven't started with your Giving Tuesday process so far. Then we're going to go ahead and walk through some slides to get you ready for the next 3 weeks and make sure you have those checklists in place and know exactly what to execute leading up to December 1st. And then we thought it would be a good idea to spend some time today talking about why you should use peer-to-peer fundraising for your Giving Tuesday efforts. It's definitely something that can amplify the day and your results. So we'll spend a little bit of time after we go through our checklist, and then we will go over any questions that you might have before we hop off today, and wish you good luck. So here are a few things that your organization and your ambassadors should have already been thinking about, and many of these tasks should already be done. Here we are now 3 weeks to go. So hopefully you've decided on your communication tools that you are using for the campaign, and who exactly is going to be running your social media. That might be your staff, maybe you have a consultant, a volunteer, it's a board member. Hopefully you have that plan in place, because the things that we're going to be talking about for the next 3 weeks are going to be heavily focused on your marketing and outreach, and you want to make sure that you have the appropriate people in place to make sure to execute that communications plan. Decide if your organization is going to attend or host an event on Giving Tuesday. Hopefully, if you're going to be doing that, you will be doing it in a safe and socially distanced way, and you already have that on the books and plan to do so. A big part of the follow-up to Giving Tuesday is your thank you plan to your donors, and giving them information about exactly where the dollars went. So having a plan in place for that now will really take off a lot of that stress afterwards. So hopefully you're already thinking about your thank you plan. And then creating a task list for your board members. Don't be afraid to give them some homework. So hopefully you've been communicating with them along the way, and giving them examples and tips and tools of what they can do to really engage their network of influencers. If you are doing that day of event, hopefully you've sent invites, whether that's virtual invites or maybe you've done some sort of mailing. Schedule key meetings with donors for pre-commitments. We'll talk a little bit later about kicking your Giving Tuesday off with a bang and having a few donors who have already committed to post early and give early, and that really will help the excitement for the day. So maybe there's a few donors that you can call and talk to about going ahead and pre-committing their gifts. I know we're all on Zoom almost every day, if not in-person meetings. So hopefully you've been talking about your Giving Tuesday campaign at your meetings, letting the entire community know that December 1st is coming up and what you will be doing for the Giving Tuesday. It's always helpful to bring some sort of leave behind, whether it was a postcard or pens or flyers, etc. If you're visiting local coffee shops, maybe your post office, just something to have to promote your Giving Tuesday campaign. And hopefully you've been continuing to implement your communications plan. I know we've talked to several folks about email drip campaigns to be using to continue to create excitement about December 1st. You should be posting on your social media channels. We'll talk a little bit later about some key messages to be doing about 2 weeks out, 1 week out, day of. And as I mentioned at the beginning, don't worry for those of you who may be panicking that you haven't done one of these tasks or a few of these tasks. We do have a resource that we will be sharing. It's also in our drip email campaigns that it's not too late. And there's a checklist for that for those of you who are just getting started or might be a little bit behind. So don't worry. So as I mentioned, the next 3 weeks are going to seem crazy. They're going to seem that you are just communicating around the clock and sending messages here and there and nonstop talking about Giving Tuesday, which is exactly what you're supposed to be doing. So here we are 3 weeks out. Today's November 10th. And so you want to be preparing for that marketing blitz. If you haven't done so already, you're going to want to customize those email templates and go ahead and schedule those e-blasts to go out. Same thing with your social media. It's really important that you start thinking about that content now if you haven't already, because you will be posting a lot. So you're going to want to make sure that you have a variety of different pictures, videos, content, messaging, so that way you can really fill up that space and all of those posts that you will be sharing for the next few weeks. And we all know that there's several different tools out there to go ahead and schedule that content so you're not scurrying around the day of and posting every hour on the hour. If you have any partnerships with local businesses, it's time now to start finalizing those. For example, maybe you are going to be having a partnership with your local coffee shop or local restaurant, etc., to be handing out flyers or something, or a sign that day, a drive-through. Make sure you go ahead and you finalize those and get those in place this week. It's also a great time to contact your local media. I know in our materials and our toolkits, we do have sample press releases or op-ed that you can look at to go ahead and start giving that to your local media contacts. And lastly, finalize your day of plan for outreach and for your reporting and for celebrating. I mentioned thanking donors, but one of the really important things that you're going to want to think about is how you're going to communicate to your supporters and to the community about the impact that Giving Tuesday has had on your organization. And we recommend that you do that sort of throughout the day. Let folks know how close you are to reaching your goal. If you received a large gift, go ahead and announce that. You want to make sure that those who are giving are excited, just as excited as you are, and keeping that momentum up. So think about how you or your staff or your board members are going to continue to report that during Giving Tuesday and beyond. So looking forward to next week, the week of November 17th, we will be 2 weeks out. And I know you probably feel like you've already accelerated that communications plan, but it's ramping up even more so the final 2 weeks. Hopefully you created those templates for those email drip campaigns. Now they're going to go out this week, and you're going to highlight and give the information to your ambassadors so they can step up and send information out as well. Make those targeted phone calls to your donors. Continue to distribute flyers to the local businesses in your area. Something that people do sometimes is have a kickoff event prior to their Giving Tuesday campaign to really get their community involved, spread the word, and talk about their Giving Tuesday campaign. Again, I feel like there should be a little disclaimer at the bottom of these slides. If you do something like that, we encourage you to follow all of your guidelines with regards to social distancing, et cetera. It's a crazy time for Giving Tuesday this year. And then you're going to want to start updating your social media outlets with that message of 2 weeks to go. And with 1 week to go, the week of November 24th, I'm going to say that's the communications countdown. Here we go. Continue your social media presence. Again, remind those board members of their roles and responsibilities. Who are they reaching out to? Have you given them enough tools and examples of emails to be sending out? Sample social media post. I feel like it's sort of exactly what we're doing with all of you on today's call, where we are giving you tips and tools and resources to use for your organization's Giving Tuesday campaign. So we hope that you are sort of playing that role with your board members and ambassadors as well, and giving them the tips to be successful and help you raise those funds for your organization. Finalize any day of events or plans if you have them. And here is where you really want to go through and sort of do some test runs and finalize those day of roles and staffing plan. Get your staff together, your board, your volunteers, etc., and go over your checklist, go over your day of plan. So that way everyone knows what everyone is doing on the Giving Tuesday. So that way you guys are set up for as much success as possible. Make sure you have your social media posts scheduled. If you do have any challenge grants or matches, make sure you highlight those. Again, that just highlights the sense of urgency and adds excitement to the overall campaign. And if you have not done so already, go ahead and make sure that you test your donation page. Do a test run. Make sure that it's accessible, that it's easy to give, that it's working, etc. We would hate for everything to be ready to go, and then December 1st, your organization is unable to collect donations. So just do a test run, maybe get a few of those folks who want to give early to the campaign to go through and give $5, $10, etc., just to make sure that the platform that you're using is working correctly. So here we are on the day of Giving Tuesday, December 1st. Here is where you celebrate, right? You've made it. Go ahead, as I mentioned, and kick off with a bang if you have a few of those donors who are willing and able to give early. Here we have ready to give at midnight. If they're not up, maybe they can do it at 6 in the morning when they wake up for their day. But it just, again, it starts it off, it kicks it off, and shows that people are ready to support your organization. You might have a staff member that's designated to check in with your board members throughout the day, or sort of be on call in case they have any questions or need a few things to give out to their networks and to their friends and family members. Be active all day long on social media. Again, that's why it's important that you've ahead of time curated the information that you are going to need to fill up the day of, and having the content to share. And again, make sure that you're doing it in a variety of different ways. Again, pictures, videos, etc. Throughout the day, don't forget to thank your donors and volunteers. And if you are having any of those Giving Tuesday events, whether it's virtual or in person, hopefully you guys have the designated staff and the people who will be there attending those and running those events. The day after, first off, breathe. You've made it. It's a successful day for everyone. Go ahead and celebrate. Take some time with your staff, with your volunteers, whoever it might be, to celebrate. Maybe this is your first Giving Tuesday campaign. Maybe it's your fifth. Go ahead and celebrate either way. It's definitely a different year. And so I think it's important for everyone to really celebrate the success. No matter how much you raise, it's a great day for everyone. So take that time. Continue to implement your plan of thanking donors. You definitely cannot overlook the importance of expressing that gratitude to your donors. You want to make sure if you are communicating with them, whether it's through email, on social media, etc., that it's simple and it's straightforward and obviously authentic, and reinforces their gift and what it helped your organization to accomplish. One of the coolest things that I've seen over the few years is a video of the organization's staff celebrating and, you know, a thank you, and they're so excited, and you can just see the excitement in all of their faces to do a video and post that out there for social media to see, thanking their donors. Continue that data collection. You're going to want to have that information when you are thanking your donors. One of the things to consider about during the campaign is to connect with those who didn't give. I'm assuming that many of you already have a contact list that you plan to or already are sending emails to right now. Hopefully you're able to segment that information and you can reach out directly with a tailored email message to those who did not give to you during that day. Something like, hey, we missed you, and, you know, it's not too late. Giving Tuesday, you know, was yesterday, but, you know, help us reach our year-end goal. And let them know that you are still able to make a donation, even though Giving Tuesday has already come and gone. You might want to send a little information about the program, exactly where the dollars are going. And hopefully you'll get a few more who maybe just missed the day, had something else going on, and they'll give to you throughout the rest of the month. So as I mentioned at the beginning, one of the easiest ways, I would say easiest ways to amplify your Giving Tuesday campaign is to lean on your friends, your ambassadors, your board members, your volunteers, even your own staff members to run a peer-to-peer fundraising campaign. Peer-to-peer fundraising campaigns, they're built to help you engage your audience to fundraise sort of on your behalf. They're an extension, if you will, of your development staff to reach new networks of donors while also building community and new donors for your organization. Some of you might have a full functioning, multi-staffed fundraising department. That would be awesome. Some of you have one person. Some of you might not have any. It's all volunteer driven. So this is a great way to amplify your reach by using other folks to fundraise on your behalf. And so here are 5 reasons to hopefully convince you to try out the peer-to-peer fundraising model. The first is peer-to-peer fundraising campaigns cut through the noise, right? So there are so many things going on right now. People are busy with school, with other things. Maybe they're attending holiday virtual parties, etc. There's a lot going on in our everyday lives right now. And so if they are receiving messages from people that they know and people that they care about versus maybe an organization they're not familiar with, that message maybe cuts through all of that noise and says, oh, you know, my friend Sarah, she really cares about this cause. I see her information and it's important to her. I will help her fundraise for the organization that she cares about. Obviously, that word of mouth recommendation is really important, especially for millennials and who have those wide networks and really like to give to many different causes. So the second one is peer-to-peer fundraising campaigns are ideal for one-day giving. The Giving Tuesday campaign sort of feels like an urgent, today only campaign, which we all know we will still accept donations after the day, but it does sound like, hey, today is the day. It's as urgent as it gets. So using Giving Tuesday is a great way to amplify that one day and really kick off your year-end fundraising campaign. And kind of, I think we all have that to-do list of things that we want to get done during the month of December. And so for one day only, you can give to X organization. It makes it feel like it's something that I need to do today versus maybe towards the later part of the month. Third reason is peer-to-peer fundraising provides an opportunity for meaning. So not everyone is really focused on the whole Black Friday, Cyber Monday. They're thinking more this time of year about looking for opportunities to give back. I would say especially now during this year, during 2020, and especially during the holiday season. In fact, actually 50% of nonprofits receive the majority of their donations during these last 3 months. And so I would say even more so these last few weeks of November and December. And so hopefully they're seeing your information and you're just making it easier for them, and your friends and peers are making it easier for them to fulfill that want and need to give back. The fourth reason you should do a peer-to-peer fundraising campaign is that it takes the burden off the staff. So as I mentioned, no matter how little or big your organization is, it's always helpful to have another friend out there working on your behalf to raise those needed funds for the Giving Tuesday campaign. And, you know, it's fun. I think I have been part of several peer-to-peer fundraising campaigns, and I've seen how my friends have gotten active on there and shown their support for their organization. And it just really helps those who are running the campaign at the nonprofit be able to have sort of, you know, those out there in the community working on their behalf and sharing the work and the mission of the organization. And lastly, Thanksgiving brings peer-to-peer fundraising opportunities. So I know, again, this is so different than the years past that we've done these trainings, but you know, Thanksgiving is typically a time when you're going to be with many family members and friends. Probably not so much this year. I know we're going to be doing something virtually, so I still will be seeing my family members, at least through Zoom, not in person. But typically, this is when family members get together and you can share information about a cause that you're interested in. So you'd be talking to your relatives about the Giving Tuesday campaign that you're going to be raising funds for. And then when the day comes, Giving Tuesday, and you reach out and ask them to give to the organization, they're already familiar with what you're doing because you would have already shared that information with them at your holiday gathering. So again, get creative this year. Send a text to some family members. Go on social. That's what we're asking those who are going to be doing the peer-to-peer fundraising to do on your behalf. It can still be done, even though it looks a lot different this year than in years past. So as I mentioned earlier, this was our last official webinar before Giving Tuesday, but we do have other learning opportunities for you. We have these links, and you guys will be given this PowerPoint after today's webinar that will link to different resources for you to use in the next coming weeks. One other thing, if you have not joined yet, we do have a fundraising sustainability group. It's a listserv to connect you with other peer fundraisers across the state. So if you are stuck on something, or you have a question, or maybe you want to share something that's really working, go ahead and email this email address, and I think Lily might be putting a direct link into the chat box here soon that will get you signed up directly. But go ahead and shout out. We're all kind of working on this together, and we want everyone to be successful. So make sure you use that listserv to connect with folks, or even just check on everyone and see how things are going the next few weeks. And before we open it up to questions, I have not kept my eye on the chat box, so I'm assuming there are some. I'm going to open it up to Susie and or Lily to see if they have additional comments or resources that they might want to highlight.
This is Susie. Thanks, Sarah. That was really fantastic information. I thought of one other resource I definitely wanted to make sure to share out. And I wanted to see if we could do a poll, just sort of using the show of hands, raise your hand button. It should be at the bottom center of your screen. So if you are concerned about whether giving will be down this year because of the pandemic, if you can go ahead and raise your hand. I have a guess. Yep, okay, that number is going up very quickly. So of course, everyone has these questions, and I do not have a crystal ball. However, the folks at Giving Tuesday do have access to a huge amount of resources for research and data processing. So if you are not aware, there was actually a Giving Tuesday Now back in May, and that was a great opportunity to engage folks when I think a lot of us were at home and not sure what we could do to support one another in our communities. Giving Tuesday Now came together really, really quickly as a way to activate folks and their generosity. So that was great for the nonprofit community to connect to donors and connect to the community, but it was also great for this data opportunity. So I want to share a link in the chat to the post that Giving Tuesday shared from their 5 lessons learned. And the one that really stuck out to me when I watched this presentation was small donors, folks that are giving less than $250 in a donation, which is most of the donors on Giving Tuesday, are actually up in 2020 compared to 2019. by almost 20%. So there are, lots of households that are hurting right now. But for those folks that are able to, they're actually donating more frequently than they were last year. So I think one of the big messages from Giving Tuesday that I've been really trying to take to heart is now is not the time to let up. Now is the time to make the ask. So if you're interested in digging into that data, like I said, the link is in the chat to the 5 lessons learned. And I am going to stop talking and turn it over to the group for other questions. Thanks.
Okay, this is Lily. We did have a question come in during the presentation, and I do want to remind everybody, if you do have questions as we move along or you think of something, please feel free to share them in the chat box, or you can use the Q&A function. We're looking at both, so please feel free to share any thoughts or questions that you have. We do have one, which is, how do groups incorporate their holiday appeal into Giving Tuesday? We send ours out to hit homes the week of Thanksgiving, which is just 1 week prior to Giving Tuesday. So any advice on how to marry the two?
Sorry, I was sitting there talking, and of course, I've done that thing where you keep yourself on mute. For me, I sort of think that you're almost capturing 2 different audiences with your Giving Tuesday campaign and your end of year appeal donors. Those are typically going to, obviously be the donors that are giving to you year after year. And you've been sending them probably these messages and mail in the past. The Giving Tuesday component is really for, I would say, different donation types, maybe those new donors. And so while I think they're all happening at the same time, and I see a question in the chat box too about the gala that someone's having and not cannibalizing it, I think they complement each other without overlapping or, robbing Peter to pay Paul sort of. You are looking to sort of diversify your donor pool from your loyal donors. And with the Giving Tuesday campaign, you're energizing maybe new donors or donors who can't give at a certain level. And so while again, they all are happening around the same time, I think, again, it's a more of a complement to each other versus a competition with each other. And if you fall short, obviously, of your year-end appeal, you can use that Giving Tuesday to remind people, of where you're at with your end-of-year campaign appeal. So much more left, etc. Or if you didn't reach your goal on Giving Tuesday, your end-of-the-year appeal might say something like, "Help us reach our, end-of-the-year campaign that we didn't reach during Giving Tuesday."
We had a follow-up question to that, or a question in a similar vein. What if you already are running a peer-to-peer campaign? Are you cannibalizing that by creating a Giving Tuesday campaign, or do you treat the two as 2 different audiences? Great question.
This is Susie. I'll jump in on that one. Piggybacking on what Sarah said, I think if you can feel confident that you are reaching 2 different audiences with the asks, then I would say go for it. But if you feel like they're sort of bleeding into each other, that you're likely to have a lot of folks getting both of the peer-to-peer campaigns from Giving Tuesday and your separate one, then I probably wouldn't. So of course, you know your audience best. If they're able to be separated out, the nature of peer-to-peer is friends asking friends, right? So if you have the same primary friends that are doing the asks, then they're going to all get the same requests multiple times. I hope that was helpful. I think I sort of talked myself in a circle.
Any other questions, thoughts, or insights?
I just want to add to, because I know sometimes it's hard for board members or maybe for volunteers, etc., who aren't comfortable with asking folks for money. This is not, something that they do on a daily basis. And so I would say as much as, you are preparing your organization for your messaging, et cetera. And I think I highlighted a little bit of this during the presentation. Think about how easy you can make it for board members and your peer-to-peer fundraisers to do this work for you. So if there are templates, if you want to create sample posts, etc., and I say create, you don't have to create. All this information is out there. It's a matter of curating it. But essentially, what you're doing is creating a little toolbox for them to go and do this work as easily as possible, with just a few clicks of a button or a copy and paste, etc. You don't want them to feel it's a lot of work on their part. And so anything that you can do ahead of time, and gift it to them, to be able to take and run with, I think you will have better successes versus just saying, hey, can you do this for us, and let them go into it sort of empty-handed.
This is Susie. I see a question in the chat about election campaign giving affecting this year's charitable donations. Do we have any data? The blog post that I posted from Giving Tuesday touches on that a little bit. And I did ask the last time the national campaign hosted a session. As far as Giving Tuesday now, which was a little bit, like I said, that was in May, so it was a bit ahead of the the campaign season. It was not impacted by elections donations. I know from the 2016 campaign, the data showed that it was minimal to no impact. They related this back to, there's been this sort of narrative for a long time that when there are major crises like an earthquake or a hurricane, natural disasters, folks being concerned that that would impact charitable giving. And what we actually have seen is that if anything, it increases it. Folks that are likely to give to a crisis situation are also likely to give a second donation to a nonprofit. So like I said, don't have a crystal ball. I can't say absolutely for certain, but the data that we have been able to collect since 2016 shows that it's unlikely to have a major impact on charitable donations for the end of the year. Also, I wanted to share one last link. One of my favorites on the Giving Tuesday page is their downloadable logos and images. So that's in the chat now. And also for folks that might not be used to having quite so many links in the chat, they are easy to click on, but not so easy to copy. So if you're interested in any of these before the webinar closes, I would open them in another window so that you can save the links, because once the webinar closes, those links will disappear as well. So make sure you save the ones you like.
I did want to mention one more thing too, as I was looking over my notes. I know I mentioned sending an email after Giving Tuesday to maybe those who didn't give, that was on your list, saying, we missed you, etc. you should really also think about the communication you're going to have with your new donors, especially if you are going to be running a peer-to-peer fundraising campaign. I'm assuming you'll be getting several new donors that you've never met and you don't know, and so you'll want to create sort of maybe that opportunity in the messaging to recruit them for continued donations. Go ahead and send them, a quick email, and then maybe a few in the following months, just introducing them to your organization and what it is that you do, et cetera. Maybe some of your programs that you have going on, and definitely let them know what their first gift to your organization went to, and how it's making a difference, et cetera.
Any other questions or concerns or things that you're thinking about? Maybe challenges you're coming up against? Okay, I don't see any in our question box. Any other thoughts, Sarah or Susie?
I would just say that I know this is our last official webinar, but clearly Lily, Susie, and I are not going anywhere. On the screen here, you see our contact information. We will obviously be monitoring and be here for any last minute questions that you might have. Feel free to reach out to all of us, one of us. We are here for you. So please take advantage of that. And again, that listserv too. Okay. I think silence is telling us that there are no more questions. Everyone is prepared, ready to go, excited. So we will go ahead and we will give you back a few minutes to your Tuesday, and you guys can go ahead and start planning and going back to that checklist and get started.
Thanks and good luck.
Thank you, everyone.